Happenings in the realms of Marvel and DC. In times of need, even Batman turns to two individuals. Those two are the Ricans.
What's up, my Ricans? We're back again for another edition of Rican. I am Violator Mo.
Spawn of Satan.
Simple, Lou.
Simple?
Yeah, because you guys are so rough. Violator and Spawn. I'm just Simple, Lou. That's it.
Listen.
Just Simple, Lou.
Look at this face.
Not so simple.
It's not so simple.
Not Simple Jack.
No, not Simple Jack. Definitely not Simple Jack. You know what? You walked in on that one. No, excuse me. You rolled in on that one.
I was going to say, they ain't walking and going on.
No,
Yes.
no.
Somebody's hating, but anyway.
No, don't hate here. No. Violator style. So, oh man. So last time I remember speaking, we were talking about in the Nerdboard Chinchi about Godzilla and the second comic book coming with the Justice League. Love. Now, on this iteration, I keep going back and I keep thinking, now that we're just a couple of months away, and whatnot, we're almost in the middle of, well, not in the middle, in the beginning of May. June's around the corner, and then July, the Fight Fest. As I was saying, the Fight Fest is to happen. Marvel versus DC, the two of the big guns, and they're bringing out their big guns. Fantastic Four, Superman.
I told you it was going to happen.
I know, you're right. It's going to happen. But again, I'm going to still say the same thing. You're putting your eggs all in one basket. You're putting a lot of promotion.
No.
You're putting a lot of push out there.
I'm talking about Jurassic Park is going to win.
Oh, yeah, Jurassic Park is going to win.
Because it's right in between.
It's right in between. It's the
I
little
think
guy.
I am more excited. Well,
He's the
Jurassic
underdog.
Park, and I'm excited for what else is coming out in June?
Well, you got Fantastic Four,
Mhm.
Jurassic Park, and then, of course, Superman.
Okay.
So you have the
Superman's-
three. So, again, it's like,
Yeah.
and this is, again, you're setting out your flagship. This is always DC's flagship, no matter what. You have the iteration at the other iteration of the other iteration. And with, of course, the two new co-CEOs, Safran and I don't even want to say his name, but Gunn. And I'm like saying to myself, as I said before, it's like you're putting your eggs all in one basket. You're
Yeah, and-
pushing a lot of this stuff
Kind of
out.
want that ship to fail.
Hey. Hey.
I mean, I'm looking more forward, to tell you the truth, to seeing Fantastic Four, because this is kind of like the fourth iteration of it. Third, if you look at it, 94, the two from the early 90s, and then the last one in the 2000s. So with Michael B. Jordan. So you got this one coming up, and I'm really excited with this. Even though there's a Silver Surfer, I think for me that's a nice twist, because it is in the comic books a female Silver Surfer.
With the trailers that I've seen,
Mm-hmm.
and I've seen all the trailers, I think they got it right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Well, it's under Marvel finally, and I think that's where it's going to go right, because
Yeah.
before it wasn't under Marvel. It was under originally what Fox had it.
We love you, Kevin.
So like it wasn't given its due,
Yeah.
and it was and I think and we all know this was also the time like they were all sold off and Marvel was at their lowest and were trying to avoid going bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
So they lost, like same thing with X-Men. Like I'm anytime any character that goes back under Marvel, like I'm waiting for the Hulk to finally be released to be under Marvel, so we can finally get Hulk movies and stuff like that, because they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not as confident in DC.
Well, when it
DC,
comes to the Hulk, just for 1 second, when it comes to the Hulk, the first one from the guy that we will not mention his name, when he did the first one, I was like, what was this? Why is he growing bigger and bigger as he gets stronger? And whoa, stop that! Stop that!
and Eric Bana was a great actor for it.
He is.
Yes.
I'm not lying. He is.
So good.
And just on a small note here, if they have Avengers: Secret Wars and they have Hulks, I want to see it. I know there was mention of the fact that it'd be a Garofalo, there would be a Banner, and there would be an Ed O'Neill version. All three there. And I want to see that, because, that would be so awesome.
Yes.
What they brought him in for Doomsday.
Yeah, well, They did, but again, it's going to carry over into Secret Wars. So it's like, and that's a multi.
Versal.
Oh my god!
Because they did it for Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's.
Well, Spider-Man was dope.
But that's
What?
That was only because now the company, I forgot what's the rights to Spider-Man.
Sony.
Sony is working with Marvel,
Yes,
but they still.
it's in their best interest to work with Marvel.
Yeah, it is in their best interest.
Because remember, that's the deal
I think they should just sell it.
The deal that Stan made with Sony with that particular character was they had to come out every 2 years on the nose with the Spider-Man film. If you look at it, they come pretty much in between all of that. If they don't, the minute it goes 2 years and 1 day, it automatically reverts back to Marvel. That was his deal with them. So, but then it became their best interest to then, if they're not going to do it every 2 years, because that's probably that they're after what Andrew Garfield. It was like nothing for a while, almost getting to that part. But then they said, okay, yeah, use it, Marvel. And then with Tom Holland, like shoot on the roof, because like you said, when the story is done right and the character is done right, because Marvel tends to do that right. They follow the formula that makes a character popular to begin with.
Which I think is what DC lacks.
Mm-hmm.
DC needs to. Marvel did build up Iron Man. Then they did the next one. That it built up to the Avengers.
Yeah.
DC needs to do the same thing. And I thought they were doing it when Superman came out, that they showed the whole, like that whole scene. I thought it was going to be a whole separate movie, with the home planet and everything. I thought that was going to be it. This is where they're going to go, and they're going to do this with every movie. They're going to show origins until, a whole new origin. Because that was all new.
Yeah, that was all new.
You know what I'm saying?
And what's funny is that particular origin that was done with Henry Cavill went from that film to comic books, even to television when Supergirl, and even when Superman and Lois was out, when they talked about the glyph, this was never mentioned as a glyph at all. So a lot of that origin and culture, the lore that was built for that, boom, stretch out into all three areas. I mean, I don't know what this one's gonna do. To me, I look at this as it's like multiverse. This is a separate universe from that of Cavill.
And now I'm hearing that DC is now doing what, 2 different Batmans, 3? They need to narrow that down.
Yeah,
that's going to cause confusion.
Yeah, and I think another thing too, the whole build-up that Marvel did versus DC, I think whereas DC was like, oh, people know our characters, they don't need to have a build-up. Whereas people know the concept of these characters, but they don't know these characters. They don't know their backstory. Nope. People know Green Lantern by the symbol. They know Superman by the symbol, Batman by the symbol. But it doesn't mean that they necessarily know the characters. Like we know Batman's story over and over again. We know Superman's story kind of over and over again, which is why I feel like it's a little bit oversaturated with their origin stories in a sense for those 2 characters. If we got origin stories based off of different characters and then had that built up, that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
But DC is not as confident in their characters, so.
And it's a shame because they got some of the best.
They got a good rogues gallery.
Yeah.
And
I thought
rogues gallery heroes, like in the CW, you had Firestorm, White Canary, Black Canary. I mean, come on. You brought in the Green Arrow. As a matter of fact, you called it the Arrowverse, and I gotta say,
it was a better Batman series than it was.
Oh yeah,
the Flash.
Better Batman series.
The Flash.
The Flash.
Oh come on, Grant Gustin as the
Grant
Flash.
Gustin was so good.
And there's still talks, and DC, if you're listening to this, bring him in. You're gonna bring in the Flash, please pick him. He said it himself. Yeah. I would do it with James Gunn. I would do it. And why not?
They have to learn how when Green Arrow came out, how they integrated Flash with their show when it was on WB.
Yeah.
People started watching Flash and Green Arrow because of it. But then they stopped it and they didn't do nothing with Batman and Superman and all this stuff.
Well, what they try to do is in the WB is when Supergirl came out, they made him, the Flash, and her as if it was him and Superman, but because they didn't have the Superman yet, they had the Supergirl. So they brought in her universe, and those two, and a lot of the stuff they were doing was reminiscent of him and Superman. That's why when they did the Elseworlds episode, it just cracked me up that Green Arrow is the Flash, and the Flash is Green Arrow. And when they finally meet, it's like, when they finally meet Kara, and they say, wait, no. Hey, this is my cousin, the one I was telling you about. And the Green Arrow starts puffing up his chest. He's like, "Are you puffing up your chest?" Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's like, "Yeah, it's super cousin of yours, huh?" That cracked me up. That was so well done.
They had it perfectly entered towards, let me get all these superheroes on, because I'm one of those people that I'm already waiting for Legion of Doom. Forget everything else. I want Legion of Doom already.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How many times are you going to keep saying you're going to do all these guys?
But not the cheesy one.
Not the cheesy.
No,
Yeah. Yeah, but still, the villains versus the the good guys.
We got cheated out of Dark.
But they can't even get to the point of getting the Justice League together.
Ooh,
And I thought they did
Yeah.
when they did the Aquaman with the Justice League. And
Like you can't even
That
get
was-
them straightened out to get the Legion of
That
Doom.
was good.
I just muttered. I'm like, we got cheated out of Dark Side.
Zack
Yes.
Snyder's Justice League, when that portal opened, he's standing there, I'm like, this is it!
Dude, when he saw the parademons.
Oh my God, I was, look, here's it standing up again. And then, of course, Smallville, they introduced it, but they didn't introduce, they did a halfway decent job with Doomsday. Well, not so halfway decent. I'll tell you the truth, Superman and Lois in the ending season, when they had to deal with the Doomsday and to deal with that creature, so far from the comic adaptation to this, it's pretty much the closest and best adaptation I've seen so far of the battle between Superman and Doomsday.
I'm
That
tired.
much. With the exception
Superman
of the
series.
anime. No, with the exception of the anime Superman Life and Death.
Yeah.
If they were to take that half hour, it was like good 20 minutes of that fight scene between Superman and Superman and Doomsday, and say you take that out, do it live action, and replace that back scene from Batman v Superman, and put that in there. Whoa. Much forgiveness.
I like you saying that. I'm tired of Superman. Like, I was just thinking right now, I just kind of came to an epiphany of why I'm so tired of Superman and Batman. Not just because of like their oversaturation,
Mhm.
but like there's no connection to any of them. Like if you watch all of the different Batmans and Supermans, they're all their own like different story. That's because in DC they're constantly rebooting and they're constantly changing and they're constantly doing this. And there's no consistency in their storyline. There's no consistency in their development as characters.
In the
And I
live
think-
action films.
and in their comics. And I think
The animation.
they have great storylines, but then the payout gets rewritten, and then you lose that, and you're like, oh, now
the animated
there's a whole
ones,
new.
The animated ones are the only ones that actually can say consistency, create the friendship that
Yes.
and people don't know that those two are best friends.
Dude,
Yes.
the greatest version of any DC property will always be the Justice League universe: Batman, Superman, Justice League, Young Justice. Like those were some of the best storylines adapted, and to this day, like I would rather go back to that than deal with anything that they're doing right now.
Yeah, and the anime. It's like
The
if you would
Flash,
take if you would take whoever it is that's behind the animation, say, we'll give you the money if you can do it live action.
Oh my
Why
god,
not?
yeah.
Because they already figured it out. They've already created the characters. It's like the best Green Lantern is Nathan Fillion's Green Lantern. When he voices Green Lantern, there's there's so many things that are funny and cool about it. With the one time they didn't have him was for Justice League War, had a different voice actor, but every other time it was him.
I forget, was it Michael Blue or whatever his name is? He was the Flash in that series. So like, they had.
If you take the people who did the animated, say we'll do it live action, you're gonna get a whole nother what's supposed to be and what really should be how it's presented on the screen. Not separate, but connected.
What I meant to say was that I'm tired of Superman series always going to the Doomsday.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
Don't introduce him so fast.
But the thing is, that event.
That's the only real big thing that we have, though.
Because remember, throughout the years,
I don't like them
powerful.
introducing if you're not going to do it.
right?
You're not gonna do it right.
If you're not going to do it at all, don't why introduce.
Yeah, but
Right.
don't do it right. You gotta do it right.
You have to do it right. Because
It's
remember,
hard to have a
this thing
villain for
spanned 3 different titles: Superman in Action Comics, Superman. Was it the other one? The Adventures of Superman. And there's one more title I can't remember, but 4 different titles. All that on the Doomsday Battle City that started from the countryside
Man of Tomorrow.
and landed into Metropolis, where it all ended. And so it's like I said, Superman and Lois is probably the only one in live action that came that close to really adapting that section. I showed her one part of that and said, "This is the battle," and you see it from the music and everything. It was like, wow! If they were just to recreate it like they did in the comic books, that even if you can make it a 2-week long event or a 2-hour event, it would be spectacular. It would be spectacular. And with that, we're going to take the spectacular and come back with some more North Ricans right after we pay some bills because we're broke. Help me. See you later.
Come, let's play. Radio. Come, let's play. Fun is what we crave.
Let's go.
You're listening to New York City's LDM Radio. Another long stretch of continuous music.
Back into time. Flashback.
New York City's LDM Radio.
The best radio station in the world. Is right here, right now.
And we're back with more North Ricans. All right, and last we talked about the fact that DC, there's no consistency with any of their characters, and goes without saying, and I'll say it again, get it right. Marvel's doing it. Ooh.
Could you imagine if Image came out with that?
Image came out with their own universe.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, technically, none of their stuff is all of the same universe. But if they created their own house to create their stuff, that would be phenomenal. Their own.
Bring back the classics. Profit.
Oh.
Even their new stuff, like the revival and all that. Like their new stuff would be
Supreme. Oh,
Supreme.
God. Savage Dragon, like we said from the last one.
Yes.
Which one we like to see growing up? Savage
Dragon would be awesome.
And of course.
And they had a couple of animations that were good.
There's one more we have got. You mentioned it too. You're one of your favorites.
What?
Pit.
Ah, Pit.
Yeah. Feeling those washing, wonderful moments of page turning Pit. And saying, damn.
Pit was awesome. Pit.
Put original storylines. Like I always say, you get people with the story, you have them. That's it.
Yeah.
If you get somebody invested in your character, done. Just from that point, don't mess it up. Don't make them have feelings. No, make them what the people love them to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of studios fall into the trap of general audience appeasing, because they're like, oh, the general audience just wants to see action. They want to see this. They want to see that. They're like, because when you write a script, there's a formula that you have to technically follow, and it's like you hit the points of what is supposed to be like what everybody's what general audience is going for, not like the fans of the work. And I think where DC kind of fails too. Like they cater to general audiences a lot and forget that their fan base is where a lot of their love is coming from.
Like the last Star Wars film, for example, when Jay did it again and redirected it, he catered it to the fans for what fans wanted to see, but he didn't cater the story, because it's kind of stupid. It's like, why is he dying?
Right.
It's like he could have been an integral part from that point forward. This is kind of his story from becoming the child of the light, who falls into the darkness, who then comes back to the light, like his grandfather before him. I mean, hello. I mean, you want to have that same moment when he's looking and making a choice, and all of a sudden you see the Emperor going down and being toasted? You gave up on that. You gave up on that. You had the Emperor, you had Rey, and then you could have still had him. And you just like...
That was also a lot of people, they had expectations, and I think a lot of people also forget, also as a fan, you have to kind of lower your expectations a little bit. You're never going to get a perfect adaptation.
No.
Never.
No.
Ever. And it would be amazing if we could get perfect adaptations. But sometimes you have to kind of give a little leeway. And I think also at the time, people were just hating on these characters for no other reason. Wait. To hate on them.
I have to disagree on the perfect adaptation. Avatar, The Last Airbender.
I haven't seen it yet.
We've seen it.
That was a perfect.
That was a great adaptation.
Perfect adaptation.
That's going to be homework for you. Write that down, and you're going to be watching Avatar.
That's how I felt with The Last of Us, the first season. That was a perfect adaptation.
Well,
of the
she was hesitant because she's so in love with the anime that to see the live action.
I didn't even watch Korra for a while because I was devastated.
I heard they're making another one. My brother told me they're making a.
So
No.
No, there's gonna be a new Avatar.
A new Avatar.
Avatar? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's like, it's heartbreaking because in order for you to get a new Avatar, the last one has to die. And it's like so heartbreaking. Like Aang, the concept of me watching the show without Aang, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
But
Well, there's going to be the live one, but it's now he's doing Earth and Water.
oh, the storylines.
It's gonna continue.
No, but
of
this
course.
is-
yeah.
But this is a whole new, like Korra was a whole new
Korra
series.
was,
Yeah, all new.
Yeah, Korra
all
was
new.
yeah, it took
Well, they're
place
gonna do
after.
another one, another series, all new, without Korra, nothing. Just that means that
So
Korra had
that
to
means it's 100 years later.
At
die.
least.
Well,
At
Korra
least.
would no, I think it was like 60.
60 years?
Yeah, 60 or something years or so because the
So they got to show the
Toph was
old
already
first.
like an old woman
Yeah.
at that time.
For the exception of Aang was because he was already in suspended animation.
Yeah, that's the only reason.
So that's why 100
Yeah.
years passed by. He's still a kid, and everybody else grew up. So
Because the avatars are supposed to last 90 to 100 years.
Yeah.
at least.
Their power lets them, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
But again,
Like,
that
yeah.
one, I'm telling you, and,
I'll have to
we're
watch
both
it.
going to tell you that when you see it, it is like watching the anime again. But the difference is
Not the first one. Don't
not the
watch
first one. No,
No, we're not
No.
talking about the movie.
The-
no.
No.
with the him that we
That
will
doesn't
not say
exist.
the name.
That's,
Shmike.
You know what's sad? He's a great writer.
He is.
Yo.
How do you mess
But-
that up?
How
Well,
do you
he
no,
rushed
I
it. That's
think
the
I
issue.
think it's also a studio thing when we're talking about too, but DC. The executives also shoot themselves in the foot because they come in, they put their little hands in the pot instead of letting
Mhm.
people. Same thing like Suicide Squad should have been amazing because the director who was doing it, the vision he had, everything he did was amazing, and then they brought in someone to edit the movie who only has edited music videos.
Yeah.
And it was
God.
like, who made this decision? One of the executives.
Mhm.
Shoot him in the foot. Like, what
We
are
will
you
find
talking about?
him. I will hit him, and you will run him
So
over
yeah,
several
executives
times.
sometimes like they don't. And going back to the general audience thing,
Mhm.
they're not fans of the work. They're just throwing money at this because they
Mhm.
know that there's a fan base. They know that there's going to be money made off of this.
Yeah.
But they could care less about the adaptation in and of itself, and they just want
They-
money.
They got to
So-
basically learn it's okay to do 2 to 3 parts.
They
You
gotta
know what I
know.
mean?
They gotta copy off of Marvel. Take a step back. Give the money to the people who are doing this and let them cook.
Yeah.
Let
Perfect.
them.
That first
Too many
perfect
cooks in the
example.
kitchen spoils the food.
Yeah, because the first one would have been great, but
Mhm.
you rush all his 4 hours
Yes.
in
Right.
2 hours. That's why it made
You're
it
not telling
no
the
good.
story like that. No, not at all. And the series, they do tell the story. It's like word for word exact. And as I was saying, when it came to like animation, drawing to live action actor, the difference in
For
the
Aang?
two for Aang, yeah, because
Yeah.
he has to tell his feelings and emotions through his voice.
He's a child as well, so
Right.
he has to be able to have that
And the
emotional maturity of both.
But the thing is, the animation has to try and convey that voice,
Listen,
where the actor can convey it completely. And when I say convey it completely, this kid that's playing Aang is Aang.
Yeah.
Period.
All of them. Every
He's
single
Aang. Every
one of those
character,
characters.
every character in it is being the character that the anime intended to
They
in
need
a
to-
live action.
they need to
sequence.
film it faster because these kids are growing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
But
well,
I'm kind of okay with it because we all know that the progression of the story and the books and stuff like that. But I think it's also okay if they grow up a little bit because it gives a little bit more maturity in certain aspects, like in
But
the
then it
storyline.
loses aspect of how he got all
Yeah.
his powers.
Like
He got it when he was young.
Yes.
So now he's as an adult and getting older or
or
taller.
a teenager, because remember they were
Yeah.
all still as far as them being like teenagers, they would still be acceptable as long as they still look young.
Yeah.
I think it'd be okay because there
Because I know,
there are older people playing teenagers still to this day. So
What's his
like,
name? The guy with the
Nacho?
mohawk?
Asaka. I love
Watch,
Asaka.
if you look at him now, he's looking like a big young man.
Yeah.
yeah.
So they might have to recreate his character to look for someone that looked like him when he was young.
I think they already signed on for that, so they're going to
But
do
what's
it.
to say they
Kinda
haven't
hard.
filmed certain things? What that could also be maybe like what they're going for. Like maybe they want to age him up a little bit, like how they
Yeah,
aged up
that could
Claudia in Interview with the Vampire,
Oh,
just to
yes.
make the adaptation a little bit more understanding because it's hard to have a 5-year-old playing this vicious character. So they aged her up. So I can see them kind of doing that and being like, look, there is no war in Ba Sing Se. That was a great storyline.
Mhm.
But also having children in that, like I could also see them being like, maybe we'll make them teenagers, make them a little bit
The-
older,
Mhm.
stuff like that.
The episodes that most got me in the cartoon series of Avatar,
There's a few.
there's a lot, was when we forgot that he is a kid.
Yeah.
And the things he's doing And there's a scene in one of the episodes where he's just given up. Like, I'm a kid, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They were like towards the end of the
Yeah, it made me whelp.
There's
It made me
two
tear up.
episodes in
Yeah,
particularly
it was sad.
that I love his character development in the first season when he goes to the air temple and he sees the bodies everywhere and he
Yes.
just loses his mind.
Mm-hmm.
That, oh man, like to this day I can't watch that without tearing up. And then also when he meets Boomy, but he doesn't know it's Boomy, and he's like, oh my god, like we're back in the Earth Kingdom. Like I had this best friend who was an Earthbender,
Yeah.
and this and this and this. And then he finds out Boomy's still alive, so Boomy's like his one.
And he's
connection to his
Diesel.
dad. You jacked.
He's jacked.
Yo,
But
Boomy
he's
was
also
such a good character.
hateful
Yep.
because war changed him.
Yeah.
But it took I won't say it took about 5 minutes. It took for the rest of the episode for Aang's innocence and childlike ideology to sink back into him and see his friend again as it was when they were both the same age, and then to rethink how he's handling the Earth tribe. So that was what I was trying to say, that he conveys it in such a way, and then you see the brightness in his face, the innocence of a child talking an idea that, yeah, this is great, we can do this. And I'm like, wow. I was like, when I saw it in the animation form, it's like, okay, I can hear it in your voice. The cartoon can do but so much from the drawing, but when this actor does, I was like, I believe him 100%. This could change, and
The only,
you can
the
feel
only
it.
emotion they didn't completely enter on that part was anger.
Yeah.
Well, when
Because
he
the
reaches
anger-
the Avatar stage,
No,
like
but
that's,
I'm saying, like, as he's a child, seeing your friend grow up, you lost all those years with your best friend. That human anger should have came out of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't touch too much on him.
No, it didn't.
Yeah.
So-
Well, he also, like, again, it was a children's show at the
Yeah.
time, so there was a fine line they were treading. But I think after like the ending of the first season, they really kind of went full forward with like, you know what, we're just gonna do this show, and it was so mature for its time, and a lot of the aspects that they were bringing up. Like I was
My best
I was a
child-
teenager watching this show, and I learned so much about life through Avatar.
My
But-
best child part was when he was riding around in the air ball.
Yeah.
That was my part of
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
a child. I ain't worried about what's going on here. I'm gonna play with the other little kids.
Yeah.
That was my best part.
The female reminded the audience that this is a kid.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
he was
Yeah.
playing with kids, playing with the air ball.
Yeah.
Like he's like, wow.
With a
But
huge,
unfortunately, he's the Avatar.
with a huge responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And they played it very well in the animation, so I'm very excited to see it. But what I'm excited to see in the show, and I think is the reason why I'm open to seeing it, was the way that they handled the actual bending. Because in the movie was, I don't know why they needed 6 people to move a rock, but it was so bad. But when I saw the trailer and I remember seeing the bending, and I was like, oh, I bet, like I'm really excited for this. Like the 2 things I'm really excited to see is metal bending and blood bending. Bloodbending to me was like that whole storyline with finding out like that, because man, just
That-
seeing her come out and then using that against the people who
When
killed
she
her mother.
first came out with the water bending part, that's what me and some other guys were talking about. I was like, why she could never kill someone when people have water in them?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because it was not
They-
the concept that was
But they-
available to them at the time.
Right.
Yeah, even the lady who had created bloodbending, she created it out of necessity. She created it in a time out of desperation, and only taught it to Katara to like kind of pass it on,
Yeah.
because she saw in her what she was going through when she was that age. It was like, oh, okay, bet she's got that anger in her, she's got this in her, she could utilize this, and then not
that's
realize
what showed
it.
that water, the element water, was the
Dangerous.
most powerful one
It,
there.
it is.
Yeah.
You know?
Because she
Yeah.
could bend it to cut like steel if you really look at it.
Yeah.
The
I mean,
whip-
even when
the
she
whip
used it
alone.
against those,
Yeah.
those, when she used it against those Fire Nation people, when she was with Zuko had no clue she had this in her arsenal, and she just went like this and dropped the dude, and you see Zuko look at her like, oh, all right, that, like, oh, okay, got it. Like,
Listen, in real life, water is, you need it, but it can kill you.
yeah,
Yes, it can. Yes, it
Yeah.
can. And I love that aspect when you brought that out. I was like, when she first bloodbended in the anime, I was like, huh?
yeah, that was.
She could do that? I was like, oh, I'm not going to pressure this one into prom sex. No way. I'm going to stay away from this one.
And then the metal bending, Toph creating metal bending in that scene where she's trapped and she knows like there's no way out, and she's just trying to figure stuff out, and you see her start to like
See,
come on.
I like
it was
Toph because
Toph is my favorite.
It's one of the
character.
first characters I noticed that they put into a series with a disability.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she improved.
She was Daredevil.
Mhm.
She was the Daredevil of that universe. Like she was so good, and she broke gender norms because even though as a girl, like she was like, oh, I don't want to be girly, I don't want to be this or whatever. But there was a part of her that was soft, a part of her that wanted to embrace that, but also was like, nah, I'm tough. Like the first scene you see her, she's fighting their version of the Rock, the Boulder, and she's like doing these like matches, and they're like, oh, this is a kid, and then she just rocks them, and they're like, oh. Okay, this little 10-year-old just handed us our butts. Like,
She was the most.
She was beast mode, and they had great moments where like comedy, where like what was it when they were in the Earth Kingdom and they had the scroll that was her wanted sign, and they were like, "Do you see this?" And she was obviously not. Like,
Exactly.
And on that note, we'll be right back after these commercials.
Hi, I am Charles Aloma, and I am the owner of the LDM Network, and I hope that you're enjoying this episode. But if you want to see past episodes of this show or any other of our shows, go to the ldmnetwork.net. We have large contents of different type of shows, and we even have podcasts. So again, check them out at ldmnetwork.net. So without further ado, let's get back to this episode.
And we're back. Welcome to another edition of Real Ricans. And as we last spoke, the subject was about, let's see, The Last Airbender. And we were just giving our thoughts and ideas and what we felt about it. And as I said, always, since the very beginning, if you've got great writing, great storytelling, people will invest and sometimes go all in. And I mean all in, because the storylines everywhere, no matter where you look at it, even if that's why we watch it so many times, because watch it the first time, we learn one aspect. You watch it the second time, you find out something new. You watch it the third time, oh, I didn't see this either, because you saw the other two. And then, believe it or not, and that's why they call them Easter eggs, because they're all over the place.
You know, I still do that with Lord of the Rings.
I do that with Attack on Titan. Every time I rewatch an episode, I'm like, wait a minute, what?
Lord of the Rings, it took me like the fourth time that my brother pointed it out. Yo, did you realize that he, Bloom guy,
Orlando Bloom?
Yeah, his character, Legolas, is walking above the snow, not sunk in like everybody else.
Because they're so light.
Yeah, I was like, holy smoke, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he's the only one. He's so light-footed that he was above that. I didn't
notice that the first 3 times, and I still watch it to get. I still watch it just to pick up things.
I still watch, Wrath of Khan, even though you have Star Trek Into Darkness, which is kind of like the polar opposite, but I still like Wrath of Khan more. Only because that opening sequence, when the screen comes on and there's Khan and he's just standing there confidently looking at him. Now, your ship is disabled. It's like, and he's going, Khan, you still remember. I cannot help but be touched. And that's the opening comedy. But the thing is, like, this man is serious. He's going to kill you.
It's scary.
and then like it's like how they formulate that plan, how to turn the tables. And there is the secret that all starship have this code that then if an enemy was to take over their ship, they can lower their shields and have a way to defend themselves against them. 16.2, and he's like still hounding him for this information for Genesis. We're getting it now, Khan.
Yeah.
The only embarrassing moment is he had to pull out his glasses. He's like, damn. He's looking, doing me. Because I know you're going to say that. I beat you to it. And
he's doing them all.
And then when he's so confident, I just love it. He says, time's up. And he turns around and says, here it comes. That's so you know, ass whoop. Here's the kind of ass whoop coming your way. Oh, my God.
Khan, it's coming.
Attacks on the starship. Have you heard about the Fan Fest events that are going on right now?
No, you would mention that to me off camera.
So there's Fan Fest. It's in Universal, if I remember correctly. It's different events that are going on for different. There's anime. They have Star Trek. I believe there might be the Star Wars one. I have to remember right now. But so the one they have for Star Trek is like you're on the bridge and it's the 1701D, and it's based off of the Picard. Like I think it's actually the Picard set that they brought in.
Yep.
And you go on the set and you're on a tour of the
Enterprise
ship,
D.
but as you're on this tour, they're getting attacked. So now you're kind of like integrated into this situation that's going on, and they had released videos from beforehand. Now they have released videos of the actual event. They had a grand opening where they had a lot of the Star Trek actors come through, and it was really cool to see. They have Jujutsu Kaisen. I don't know if you've seen that anime. It's one of my favorites. They have One Piece as well. So there's One Piece going on. I believe they have a Star Wars one as well. And
It's the best.
Yeah.
Star Wars is the best.
Yeah. I told you, I'm a fan of both. I'm a kid of both worlds.
Traitor.
I am not a traitor. I like both.
No, I'm not. Okay.
But yeah, the actors are really cool because there's a lot of videos of people interacting with the actors in costume, like both on like the sets and on like the interactive in betweens and stuff like that while they're waiting on lines and stuff like that. And I see a lot of like the One Piece ones pop up. I haven't seen the JJK ones and I've been searching for it, but the One Piece actors are phenomenal. They are killing it, and like the guy who they have that pops up the most for me is Sanji, who's the chef, the blonde one with the cigarette. He's killing it. Like he's definitely doing his best. But yeah, I'm really excited. I would love to see it. I would love to go and see it. But
because the last thing I saw online was the thing on Star Wars, the Japanese the con they had, the big 25th anniversary thing with.
Oh yeah, May the 4th.
Oh my God, I want to go.
Huge. Remember,
I want to go in 2027.
What was it? Was it last year or the year before that? Like on the year where the the Rise of Skywalker was to happen, when they did their first trailer and reveal right then and there, and it's like, yo, it's a moment where they did the trailer, right, but they didn't reveal Palpatine until the end. And what they did was Palpatine, the actor who plays him, was already there, sitting in the chair as Palpatine. So everything went dark. And then you hear he's speaking. Feel the power of the dark side. And the lights come on. I'm gonna tell you something. Oh my God! I mean, I'm like I said, I'm a fan too. But my hairs, I mean, they went straight up. Everything was like I saw it. Oh, he's gonna be in the movie. Oh wow! But it's like you love those things because it's like another one. Hall H. Years
Hall
ago.
H is known for God.
Hall H when they had the reveal. There you go, Loki. The lights went down and then boom, it was Avengers and it was Tom Hiddleston dressed as Loki, acting as Loki. When somebody was out of line, he's like, shh. Like, oh. And then shut him up.
Full command.
He had him like this.
Yeah, I'll send you the video.
Another one, I think, I don't know if it was New York or also Hall H, is Robert Downey entrance from the back end through the crowd to, what is it? Oh my God, Luther Vandross. Never too much, never too much.
I think that was Hall
And he
H.
put his hand up and he had the glove. He had the gauntlet with the repulsor right there. Stop. Oh, it's like those are moments like that as a fan you gotta love. You gotta love it. You gotta love when those entrances happen, those big moments, and you sit there, oh my God, and you lose it.
The reveal of him as Doom was also, I believe, in Hall H.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, where they had all the Dooms on set, and they were like, "Oh, so now we're going to reveal who's the actor." And he had the costume.
Wasn't that?
It was that.
He had
so we're going to reveal the actor.
He had the mask, and he had the green cape, and then he took off the mask.
The new thing now is he's playing 3 roles.
Yeah, so apparently there was a writer
Doom.
that had
I forgot the third one now. Stark. He's playing himself. He's playing Doom, a variation of Doom from a different universe.
Yeah, he's playing, and the same thing with Captain America. He's doing.
Yeah, because he's creating his own Dark Avengers that will go against the Avengers. So that's why you have like Thor back, Chris Hemsworth. You do have Chris Evans back because they're going to play dual roles. And guess what? Scarlet is back.
I hope so.
And this is all still like rumor, but it was from a writer who was doing a panel, and this writer, I guess, I don't know if he's gonna lose his job or not, but like he was spilling like, oh, they're gonna do this, they're gonna do this. I actually have the video. I saved it. I can send it.
Sometimes they do things like that on purpose, though, just to throw
and
you
I
off.
think he did it out of spite because I think that there was something going on behind the scenes, and a lot of people who were even like watching it were like, oh, this dude's he's mad at somebody. He's mad.
Either that or maybe he did it out of like, that's confused the shit out of the stuff out of
Well, he's not connected to the
there goes
movies.
the eyebrow.
He's
I never seen the
strictly
eyebrow.
to the comics. He's a comic book writer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But then you have those beautiful accents that Marvel learned to capitalize on. Mark Ruffalo, for instance.
Yes.
On the premiere of it, he's live streaming it. He's Facebook live streaming the premiere of Avengers. And then he forgot to turn it off and he leave it in his pocket and they're hounding him. They're blowing up his phone. He said, dude, your phone.
Yeah.
So what? He said, it's still recording. It's still broadcasting. And he's like, oh, right.
Yes.
But then the next day, what happens? That was brilliant. That was beautiful.
Yes.
Saw 1 million hits on this. Yes.
Yeah.
Again, but then that Tom Holland review, like, those are the
Tom
two
Holland,
you can't tell anymore.
That's why at a lot of the interviews always be like don't ask him questions. Like,
don't ask him questions.
It's like that one with Benedict Cumberbatch. We kept grabbing the mic. Was like, no, you're not allowed to talk.
No, silence. And that's it. It's like when in Infinity War,
just like they don't want
everybody dies.
Yeah, Ruffalo did that, and he wasn't in Don Cheadle. No, it was Ruffalo. Don Cheadle was next to him.
Oh,
he says, yeah, everybody dies. He's like, dude, shut up. What's wrong? And then he turns around and says, no, everybody lives.
They say they don't want the guy that plays Spider-Man, Tom Hiddleston, and Ruffalo together in an interview.
No. That would be the most silent interview ever.
Those are the
they
ones
wouldn't
you
even be allowed to
have
talk.
to remind them of their MDAs. You know what happens if you do this, right?
Just give them a muzzle.
Yeah. There you go.
That's it.
Make them look like Hannibal Lecter in a little straitjacket. Like, I didn't sign up for these front. That sort of thing. Yes, but those are those beautiful reveals and things like that.
This guy did it recently.
Who?
The guy that's playing Nightcrawler. There's an interview out that he actually is talking.
Yeah.
About one of the things he says is that I'm doing stunts.
The original?
The original guy.
The original, yes.
He's doing.
He's coming back because him, Professor Xavier, which is Patrick Stewart, coming back as that. Ian McKellen is coming back as Magneto.
No, I know that. Yeah. I know about them coming back.
But yeah, he did it. He said, they asked him. He's 60 now, and I'm doing. The other day I was doing stunts because I'm supposed to go up against. And he mentioned, I think, Thor. Yeah. I'm supposed to be going up against Thor, and I'm like, he just revealed
a scene. I know it's a slip of the tongue, It just it come out.
Now,
oops.
I'm sorry. Now that I mentioned 60-year-old, in the series Last of Us,
yes.
It's revealed that Joe is
Joe's
60.
60, yeah, because Joe was like 35. It's almost close to 40 when the
I
things
thought
happened.
Joe was younger.
No, Joe's a lot.
Like 40s maybe. But damn, he looks great for an older guy.
He can kick ass still at 60. So young fellas, don't be bucking on 60.
We love you, Pedro.
I'll be messing with him.
I think like Star Wars and Star Trek, where Star Wars is better than Star Trek, I think Pedro Pascal is a better actor than Henry Cavill.
Pedro Pascal's in both, though.
Henry Cavill is not in Star Trek. What's wrong with you?
I know, but I'm just saying.
No, sorry, he's not. Sorry.
But what I'm saying is that whereas Star Trek and Star Wars is the better series and movie, I happen to think that Henry Cavill,
look, I'll say
Pedro
this.
Pascal is a better actor than Henry Cavill.
Well, who's better shaped?
Pedro is prettier.
Who's better shaped?
Yeah, might as well say it that way.
It
Who's in better
matter.
shape?
It doesn't matter.
Not everybody likes muscles.
Yes,
we're
thank
not
you.
all about muscle daddies.
Sam,
like
thank
you. Are, okay?
Yes, we're not about muscle daddies. Yes.
If you see this hair again change into Wolverine, I would suggest you run.
Pedro Pascal is known for being a MILF daddy. So.
A zaddy.
A zaddy. So, yes.
Okay.
He said it himself. Daddy is a mindset.
Pedro Pascal.
I can agree with that. I can't fault that part.
Pedro Pascal is the better actor.
I'm not going to touch that because they're both great in their
No.
ways. And I love Pascal. I do love Pascal.
Star Trek is not equal to
Star Trek.
Look,
What is
Star
wrong with
Trek.
you?
Star Trek handles sci-fi like storytelling better, and Star Wars handles emotions a little better.
I'm just gonna check them just one more time, just to be sure. The Star Trek, and like now you're gonna say what? Hardware Wars is next.
Oh, Tech Wars.
Oh, Tech
Wars. Farscape.
Really?
Farscape is better than both.
Farscape is the.
The bomb.
Farscape
I mean,
is
no argument
better than
there. It's the
both.
bomb. Get it out. Get it out.
Give me a sip.
Farscape and Stargate.
Stargate.
Oh yeah.
Wait,
I'm not gonna argue with that.
Either or.
Because
I would pick Farscape over Stargate any day.
Me too.
I love Stargate.
I do.
Farscape
Like
has
the first episode alone, when they were talking in different languages, and the little robot came and just injected his foot, and he understood everything.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Oh, this is great."
I love that.
And the Peacekeeper Wars.
That was awesome.
I like that they were not afraid to create crazy designs for the aliens, and that they didn't stick to humanoid aliens.
No,
because the Scarans are terrifying.
And the fact that the ship that they were on was alive.
Yes, Moya, and then she gave birth to Talon. Oh my God!
And then they did it in Star Trek. Star Trek.
Well, they did something
first.
like that.
They
in
did
the
it first.
Generation with Gumtooth.
Yeah, that was
the
first.
One that was alive already.
Yeah.
And then the Betazoid, whose mind is like so powerful. Gumtooth is the only one he could connect with, because think of it, he has no filters.
Wouldn't it be interesting?
And he hears 1,000 people on the ship. It's just flooding his brain. With Gumtooth, just him and Gumtooth. That's it. That's what we wanted.
Wouldn't it be interesting if they did like a little series on that?
Star Trek versus Farscape?
No, with Gumtooth. Like,
the two that survived. Yeah.
The mission is finding others like him, not like the ship, but like the Beta Z.
Mm-hmm.
Like finding others that are similar like him, that can communicate with Gumtooth. That like each episode would be introducing a character, not knowing
that'd be Gumtooth's crew.
Yeah, Gumtooth's crew, and not knowing that one of them could be a bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, with telepathy, you're gonna find out one way or another, unless of course
he's
trained to hide that.
Yeah,
That's
that would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
There was a lot of things that were not, that I just have never seen in another series that I have seen in Farscape. Like some of the storylines that they handled. Also, like the use of what I loved about it too was the use of puppeteering, because like Pilot, he's a giant puppet. Pilot's one of my favorite characters.
I always thought the pilot was a regular size. No, this dude
Pilot's
is huge,
and like I love that character. And I think that the person who voices Pilot is the same person who plays Craze, the villain. Turned guy later on. But so the Jim Henson Company, his son. Jim Henson's son is the one who was working on Farscape, and so he had the full backing of his
That's
father's
another
company.
thing. Dark Crystal.
There's a newer version out there.
I saw that one. That was good. I'm waiting for the second season to drop.
But a fun fact about Farscape, you remember Rigel? You know,
right?
So when they initially started creating the series, there was like a no-touch policy on his puppet, because like they were like so afraid of like, oh my God, we might break him and stuff like that. And then the scene with Ben Browder, like where John Crichton grabs him for the first time, he's like just screaming at him and just throwing him around. That was on a whim. And then they realized like, oh, actually we can really have them interact now. And then that's how they had like, So like, that show, there's so many things in that transcends I still have not seen in other sci-fi.
And they call it improv.
It was a big no-no, and like I would love to see like the behind like the scenes of like the crew.
Could you imagine that being done now with today's special effects?
Oh my! I still say that they should do it, because remember at the end of Peacekeeper Wars that the one that had essentially attacked John Crichton at the end, and she was pregnant.
Right. Yes.
There's you could do now their kids, because now also John and Aaron have a child as well. So there's potential.
And it's amazing how both of those characters jumped on Stargate.
Yeah, they did a Farscape spoof episode, and I remember losing my mind.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, they were both on. That brought me back to Stargate, because I had jumped out of it for a while, and I was like, oh God.
And there's still one more of the spacefaring series that.
What?
Firefly.
Oh yeah, Firefly. Man, that was such a good show, and I'm so upset that it got canceled, but I love that they were able to finish it with Serenity, and I think there's also potential for that to continue if they wanted to do another.
There is. I mean, there is.
And,
There is. And we hope to see it someday,
Yeah.
too, on the screen.
Casting.
Nathan, you're there.
I'll work for free.
Gina, you're my girl. And so with that, we're going to say thank you for joining us for another adventure. And we hope to see you again soon. I am Violator Mo.
Spawn of Satan.
Simple, Lou.
Live long and prosper.
May
Until
the
next
force
time.
be with you.
Life